I don't really have a tagline opening for this, so I'm just going to sit here like that. Okay, everybody, keeping with our horror theme this month, we are going to look at 1977's Rabid, directed by the one and only, well, we'll get to that part in a minute. But before we go any further, before we look at this little gem anymore, once and again, and as always, to the trailer.
All around her, people are dying, and only Rose knows why.
You gotta come quick. You gotta come quick and get me.
It's Rose. It's gotta be. Something's happened to Rose.
Officials have said they consider the outbreak of the new strain of rabies as being potentially the worst of this century.
Don't scream. Don't panic. He's dead, and the dead can't hurt the living. Rabid.
The Prime Minister was reluctant to officially declare a state of emergency, but as any citizen in the streets can tell you, martial law has come to Montreal.
Shooting down the victims is as good a way of handling them as we have got.
You can't trust your mother. Your best friend. The neighbor next door. 1 minute, they're perfectly normal. The next, rabid. Pray it doesn't happen to you. Rabid.
Alright, everybody, this motion picture was directed by David Cronenberg. And we all know the Cronenberg. Let's run the numbers. We're talking Scanners. We're talking The Brood, and Videodrome, and The Fly, of course, and The Dead Zone, and Naked Lunch, and Crash, and Existenz, and Dead Ringers, and A History of Violence, and Shivers, and Fast Company. So, he's done a bunch of things. We all know the titles. We all know his style. Ugh. And let's take it from here. Okay, everybody, we're going to fly through the cast really quick because honestly, most of you aren't going to care, and really, why should you? Playing Rose, we got Marilyn Chambers. She was in motion pictures like My Therapist, Angel of Heat, New York Nights, but really she was a porn star, and this is kind of her chance to go straight. Take it for what it is. You got Frank Moore playing Hart. A lot of TV work, Earth Final Conflict, Kung Fu, The Legend Continues, that is. Night Heat, The Campbells, Fast Track, The Kennedys, and you got Terry Hanover, I don't know, I can't pronounce it right. She's playing Judy, a lot of TV too. Beauty and the Beast, Baywatch, Cheers, Family Ties, Knots Landing, Chips, Murder, She Wrote, you get the idea. Playing Murray, you got Joe Silver. You've seen him around Death Trap. He was in Shivers. He was on TV too. Ryan's Hope and The Equalizer and Alice and Sesame Street and 3-2-1 Contact for anybody that remembers that stuff. And then you got Howard Ryshpan, I can't pronounce it right. He plays Dan. And he had a lot of TV work. You got, The Mysterious Cities of Gold, Evergreen, Spartacus, and The Sun Beneath the Sea, An Encounter. Then you got Patricia Gage playing Roxanne. She was on Street Time, Doc, Anne of Green Gables, Highlander the Raven, Street Legal, As the World Turns. And you got Susan Roman playing Mindy, who has done and went on to do massive amounts of voiceover work, cartoons, superhero shit, whatever. So you've heard her voice, even though you probably don't know her name and probably definitely don't know her face. Is what it is. Alright everybody, we're going to try to do this in 90 seconds or less. It ain't going to happen. So we can keep it short, keep it fast, keep it moving, keep it interesting, and so we can get to where we spend the most time. The summation. The motion picture starts out, you got this guy, and he's got his girlie, and he's got his two-wheel scooter, and they're going to go on a quick jaunt through the countryside just to get out there and enjoy the day. Well, meantime, you're cutting to this office room where you see this guy Murray, you see Dr. Kilroy, which I'll always call him Dr. Kilroy. It ain't really the name, but I like it. Anyway, and the guy's wife, and they're all talking about business stuff. Is what it is. Well, cut back to the road, and you see that they're going on their jaunt, they're going through the countryside, everything seems cool until this family gets lost and pulls a Yui in front of them, causing them to go off the road. When they go flying into the sweet by and by, what happens? The motorcycle explodes. The guy, well, he's got a broken hand and a busted up shoulder, but his girlfriend gets trapped under the bike that explodes. She's burnt. It's a mess. It is what it is. But don't worry. Everything's going to be okay, because luckily, right near there is a hospital. What? A hospital. Yes, but it's only a plastic surgery center. It's just a place where people go to get beautified, stuff sucked in, puffed in, pulled out. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, they take the people from the accident. They take them to the emergency center at this plastic surgery center, and they go on to do some work. They fix the guy up, no big deal. They get to the girl, and they do this never done before skin graft technique with this new kind of skin that's supposed to do something magical and leave no scars, and well, who the hell knows after that. Anyway, is what it is. A month later, Hart, who I will forever call Discount Christopher Walken, he is said to be healing well. And the doctor says, you can go home. I know your shoulder's messed up and your hand's messed up, but I'll call up and let you know if your girl pops out of this coma, and we'll bring you right back. But there's no point in you being here. This shit is stupid. Get yourself out of here. Go home, and we'll get in contact. And he does. It is what it is. But before you know it, the next thing you know, his girlfriend, well, she's got a strange little trait. You see, she wakes up one night, and one of the other residents runs in there to help her, to check on her, and she sprouts this, I don't know, penis-looking thing out of her armpit and jabs him and sucks the blood out of him, leaving him infected and all messed up. He goes crawling down the hallway into another patient's room and basically collapses. The doctor looks him over and says, I don't know what's going on, but this shit ain't right. We need to take this guy someplace a little bit more professional, because obviously we're just a shithole here. We're a plastic surgery center. We don't know what we're doing. Next thing you know, Rose sneaks out of the hospital, and she goes and she visits a cow. Well, a farm, but there's a cow there on it. And she tries to eat the cow's blood, because apparently that's what she lives on. And it doesn't go too well for her, you know what I mean? In the middle of all that, though, this creepy farmer comes in and says, hey, baby, what you doing? Looking good, mama, looking good. So she jabs his ass, and then she takes off back to the hospital as though nothing just took place. Shortly after getting back there, you see that there was this other girl checking into the hospital to get some more plastic surgery at her dad's behest. I don't know what the fuck that's about. It's weird, it's creepy, we don't care. But before you know it, Rose says, haha, I'm going to go meet this chick in the hot tub and weird this chick out and then jab her because, well, you know, that's what I do, and drown her, and that's what I do. And, well, you know, Rose isn't a bad girl. She's just got some problems. Let's keep this thing going. Anyway, the guy she jabbed the first time that went in to check on her when she woke up screaming, freaking out, he just freaks out in the back of a car, and he attacks the driver in the front of the car, and the car rolls over and, well, you know, turns into a fatality accident, is what it is. Anyway, after she did what she did to that girl in the hot tub, Rose contacts Discount Christopher Walken and says, you got to get me out of here. You got to get me out of here. Something is wrong. I need to get the hell out of this hospital. At that point, the nurse interrupts her. It is what it is. So she goes back to her room where Dr. Kilroy, whatever I feel like calling this moment, he goes in to check on her. And when he goes in to check on her, guess what? She gives him the underarm penis too, and now he is infected. Well, cut a little bit later, he's doing surgery in an operating room. It's kind of weird. This guy doesn't look too healthy, but he's going to perform surgery anyway. You take it for what it's worth. He goes in there, loses his shit. Fucking attacks a nurse, starts lunging at people, trying to kill them and eat them. All hell breaks loose. Anyway, Discount Christopher Walken calls up Murray, who you've seen early in the movie. He was trying to, you know, help out, you know, the business side of the hospital and drove this dude home after the accident. Well, apparently him and Murray are buddies now. And Murray's going to take him back to the scene of the crime, back to the place where it is. And when he gets there, they find that all hell is broken loose at the hospital. Nobody can find Rose, and Dr. Kilroy, is sitting there in the back of a van, losing his ever-loving shit. Meanwhile, in all this, you got that farmer that she jabbed earlier. He's running around now attacking people in a diner. Rose is now on the side of the road hitchhiking, where she gets picked up by a truck driver who offers a sandwich that she doesn't want, and she attacks him, and more fun ensues. Meanwhile, Murray and Christopher Walken, they're under quarantine. You know what I mean? They were shown around. They were told, this is going on, whatever. There's a quarantine going on. In the middle of the quarantine, this one guard shows up in their room, and, well, the other guards kill him. And everybody thinks that this shit is an outbreak of rabies right now, and they say, but he had the rabies shot, and it didn't do him any good. He still became infected. Holy sheep shit. Anyway, Rose gets where she's going, and she hooks up with her friend Mindy, who's just this sweet girl, and she stays with her as though nothing's going wrong. But now all hell is breaking loose. They realize this isn't rabies, this is some new super infection. Some crazy shit's taking place, and they have declared martial law in Canada, and all hell's breaking loose. Unless, you take this new experimental vaccine, and you get the vaccine, and everything's okay, and they give you a card, and then you can go places other people can't because you've been vaccinated, and you've been proven to be vaccinated with this new vaccine, and you're going to be okay Wait a minute. Anyway, before you know it, our girl, she's out there. Where is she now? She's hanging at the mall. This guy kind of comes up to her. But all hell breaks loose at the mall. There's random attacks going on at the mall because apparently you can go to the mall even though there is shit breaking loose in society. Take it for what it is. Anyway, Murray drops off at his house to check on his family because they couldn't really get into town because everything's quarantined off and there's cops everywhere and there's garbage trucks filled with soldiers that are going around just killing people and throwing them in the back of garbage trucks. You get the idea. You know where I'm going. But when Murray gets home, he can't find his baby. He can't find his wife till his wife attacks him. Oh no, this shit's getting real. Anyway, Hart goes to Mindy's apartment to help find Rose so he can sit there and rescue her. And then he finds Rose is now jabbing Mindy. How fucked up is that? The one nice person in this whole motion picture. Anyway, is what it is. And he says to her, you are the cause of all this. That's what it is. You're running around jabbing people. But Rose is like, what? No, I'm just sucking people's blood and living off of the blood. I'm not bad. I'm not doing anything. Right. Anyway, she takes off and she escapes. But the questions are in her mind. She's like, what? So she jabs this guy in the hotel lobby and says, wait a minute. I'll hang out with him and see if he changes. Then I'll know if I'm the real one that is like typhoid marrying everybody and causing this giant outbreak across all Canada and making this mayhem. Go on. Anyway, she sits there, she calls up Hart, and she's like, Hart, this is what I'm doing. I'm running this crazy experiment where I jabbed this guy, and I just, did what I did. And I'm going to wait around and see if he turns into a monster. And he's like, no, baby, no, baby, no, baby, no. No, baby, no. If you do that, he'll kill you. She's like, no, I have to know. Did I really cause all this? Even though I thought I was just killing a group of people, I didn't know I was killing everybody. Oh, boy, I don't mean it. He's like, no, baby, no, baby, no, baby, no. And before you know it, well, I'm not going to tell you the end of the motion picture, but that's where it goes. That's what you got. Girl, skin graft, turns into a mutated person who spreads a disease she can't die from. She's kind of moronically innocent even though she's running around sucking everybody's blood. It is what it is. Let's go. Okay, everybody. Does Rabid work? Well, yeah, I guess. Kind of. I mean, am I recommending you see it? Sure. Am I saying it's really good? Maybe not so much, but we'll get all to that in a moment. And by the way, before I go any further, let me say, sometimes in motion pictures like this, you have to grade on a curve. Like, I would recommend seeing Attack of the Killer Tomatoes and tell you that all the latest Star Wars movies are shit. Now, obviously, they're bigger budgets, they look better, they actually probably are better movies, but because you have such high expectations from them and they have such big budgets, when they fall short, you kind of hit them a little bit harder. Where something like Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, when it punches above its waistline, then you say, hey, this did a good job. So if I ever seem like I'm telling you that a movie that might be loaded with stars is meh, and then something that's complete kind of trash, maybe you should give a shot to. It's just because of the law of expectations. Anyway, let's get the big three out of the way, as always. The directing's okay. It's nothing great. Let's keep this in reality. This is before Cronenberg really developed, to me, as a director. If you look at his early motion pictures, they are okay. They look all right, but they distinctly look low budget, and they sometimes almost look documentary type feel. They do not have a polished look. By way of comparison, if you look at early John Carpenter movies and you see Assault on Precinct 13 or Halloween, both motion pictures which had lower budgets than this thing, you can sit there and say, boy, this looks like a real motion picture. This looks like something that's polished and has some style to it. Where when you look at this, you're saying to yourself, okay, this isn't like Track of the Moon Beast level, but it's definitely not on Carpenter level. And that's what I mean about early Cronenberg. Long before The Fly or Dead Ringers or anything like that, a lot of his motion pictures had a very low budget feel. He was going for the squirm thing. He was going for the creep out thing. The beauty of the shots and all that kind of stuff, that didn't develop until later on. Yes, his movies are loaded with fun little social commentary, but the directing in these things has a definite low-budget feel, and you could tell many a times they're just throwing a camera wherever the hell they could fit one in. The writing, well, I mean, come on. This thing is basically a Night of the Living Dead origin story, for Christ's sake. You know what I mean? It's not written that great. It's not that deeply thought out. But it's got a cute little story. The dialogue is good enough for basically a rabies zombie flick, and you won't question it too much. Plot holes? Yes. Do you care? Come on. In the acting? Well, some of it's competent. I'm going to say Mrs. Chambers is going to be extremely wooden at some points, and then happy and cheerful and fit in the scenes in the next. Take it for what it is. Discount Christopher Walken does a alright job. You're not going to look at this thing as though it's Apocalypse Now, okay? You're not looking for high-level acting. It is what it is. It gets you where you're going. Just roll. Now, for shits and giggles, let's just name the good before we get to the bad. The movie moves along at a halfway decent pace. That's a plus. The movie has kind of a fun little origin story or different take or whatever the hell you want to call it on the zombie plague thing. These things die and they don't live forever as a corpse running around eating things for 10, 12 years like you see in all the other flicks. They want to get infected, they're dangerous for a while, then they drop dead. It is what it is. So it took a little bit more, I guess, scientific approach to this. How this all came from a skin graft, well, fucking we'll never figure that out. But it is what it is, so you give it that. The fact that this thing is also loaded with social commentary, basically making fun of all these people that are into plastic surgery, you can't help miss that. And the fact that their robes all basically have the fucking K logo on it, which is just even more hilarious when you think about it, is fun. You have that social commentary thing mixed in with a zombie plague movie. You gotta enjoy that for what it is. Also, you have the fact that you have the town taken over in quarantine under military control. It's basically a martial law, and you have to get the vaccines. I don't want to get too much into that. But watching it in 2025, you're kind of like, son of a bitch, look at that. And plus, you have that 70s look. And this movie has that 70s look. You gotta love it. The buildings have that 70s look. And there's always that 70s shot. Whenever there's a building where there's questionable shit taking place, you know what I mean. They always have that static outside shot of that concrete building. Cold, distant, menacing. You know what I mean? You've seen it a zillion times in a zillion flicks. So it has all those things going for it. You know, the norm. And of course, you always have what Cronenberg does. Cronenberg is a body horror, icky director. Really. I mean, come on. The Fly, Videodrome, Scanners. That's all he really does. He tries to make you just go, ugh, that's fucking nasty. And he's effective at it. Is there that much of that in this? Well, not as much as he did in some of his other flicks later on. But it's there. Just like in Shivers. It's just stuff that makes you feel queasy and unsettled. And this movie does it to the best of its ability. There's a lot of scenes that just make you go, ugh. That's kind of grody, and that's what he does, especially at this point in his career. So you get the early beginnings and origins of Cronenberg being Cronenberg and giving you that kind of body grossness before he went full tilt boogie in The Fly and Videodrome and all that shit and really smacked you over the face with it. Historically, I guess that means something. Now the negatives are strangely almost related to the positives. Honestly, I mean, it's a Cronenberg flick, so the negatives are it relies heavily on the icky feeling, and it doesn't really give you any great-looking shots, and it doesn't give you any tons of suspense. It just gives you that ick feeling. Is it a negative? It's what you expect. Much like a lot of Cronenberg flicks, especially at this stage, the sound design isn't the best shit I ever heard. It makes you feel like, you know, the people that were doing all the sound effects and special effects for this were 3 people locked in a room with a sandbox, a couple of shoes to make some clicky sounds and shit like that. You get that. It's not even really just this motion picture that's done a lot of that, but it's noticeable. And of course, remember, this thing is not going to be a beautiful motion picture to look at. Don't think you're going to get Dean Cundy lighting in one of these things. And don't think you're going to get John Carpenter directing in one of these things. You are not. You are going to get low budget, even though the budgets were kind of decent compared to what Carpenter had to work with. You're going to get almost low budget documentary, better than TV, but not much type quality and feel from this motion picture. If you can take all that and handle those little negatives along with their positive side, you'll probably watch this thing and say, all right, I had a little fun. It's another zombie flick. Was it the best? Absolutely not. Is it close to being the best? Absolutely not. Did it do its job and make me feel yucky and icky and it was what it was for an hour and a half? Yes, it is. Well, there you go, folks. Another little recommendation for the spooky season of Halloween. Anyway, be good. Take care. Stay out of trouble. Be kind to a stranger and there for a friend. And most of all, more than anything, never take any bullshit from anybody. See you soon.